Hi there, hope you're having a good day. Welcome back to another video. Today we'll be focusing on fit and width specifically. So these are the best basketball shoes for my fellow wide footers. If you have wide feet and you've been struggling to find an ideal pair to hoop in, let's talk about a few great options based on my experience. We hate it when brands make their shoes too narrow. Plus, my feet are super flat at the same time. We'll try to cover that aspect as well. Maybe I'll mention which shoes to avoid too in the end. Because let's face it, even if the shoes are amazing performers with excellent cushion, bounce, traction, support, and you love how they look, if it just doesn't fit and you keep getting bothered by an area that squeezes uncomfortably, that ruins everything. These ones should all be available as we speak. Some are on sale. They're all at least decent performance-wise. We're not only going for their width. There are some shoes that are very wide but don't perform nearly as well. Feel free to add other options that work really well for you at any time. Consider subscribing, please, if you haven't. Let's get started. When I think of basketball shoes for wide feet, from all options available on the market right now, the first one that comes to mind is actually the Jordan Luka 3. The one that's supposed to be designed after a race car, but really turns out looking like a garbage truck. Jokes aside, I think the Luka 3 is super slapped down. You're looking for enough space around the midfoot area. Toe box can't be too narrow either. They just work. It's not the traditional or common type of upper, such as a thin standard mesh. Here with these racetrack patterns, it's almost reinforced entirely. It creates like a thick and layered feeling wrapping around your feet. Roomy in the midfoot area, toe box doesn't cause any discomfort. For flat footers, the containment is safe and secure too, so you don't have to worry about your feet protruding out to the side too much. Downside, I guess flexibility isn't as great, and I wouldn't associate it with a super fast guard type of playing style. Cushion is about average. So yeah, the speed level of the shoe isn't close to being a race car on the court, but let's say a minivan or school bus. Functionality is king. And I'm referring specifically to the Luka 3, not the previous versions, because the Luka 1 and 2 were pretty tight and snug. So even if you see a bunch of Luka 2s on sale, I mean, there are some beautiful colorways and great deals right now, but 3 is the widest. The Luka line kind of matches his body transformation. Will he lose some weight on the Lakers? I personally think the Luka and Zion situations are very different, given their own playing styles. That seems to be the case reflected on their sneakers too. We'll see. Second option that I can think of, I've said it before and I'll say it again, it is a wide foot friendly and budget friendly shoe. The widest Curry shoe ever. That is the Curry Splash 24. Also very forgiving in the midfoot area. Toe box is quite roomy too, actually. This is technically his budget line. Retails for $100. I've seen it going for as much as 50% off. $50, that's pretty delicious. Yeah, Currys have historically been narrow and snug, especially in the toe box. That was not the case here. Wide and flat feet, the Curry Splash 24 got you covered nicely. And with the Micro G midsole, cushion and comfort are up there at the same time compared to other shoes in this price range. You also get a very smooth transition going from front to back. Surprisingly lightweight, because some of these wide foot friendly options aren't necessarily light. I know they recently came out with a few suede versions too. Either way, the material should be forgiving enough, and I highly recommend that you give these a try. From Adidas, I would suggest the Dame 9 if you have wide feet. Now, unlike the Lukas and Curry Splash, they put some hard leather on the upper. Hard, but it doesn't get to a point where it's too stiff or uncomfortable. For me, half size down is the most ideal fit. Even if you got wider feet or you're super flat, there's no need to size up. Otherwise, you'll likely experience some heel slippage. On the Babe collab, that problem was more obvious. But on the bright side, this is nowhere close to being a brick wall on the sides. The toe box, as you can see, looks kind of pointy. So the shape of the silhouette does shrink a little bit moving toward the front end. I would say the Dames excel in the midfoot area. If you have high volume feet, chances are a good percentage of us probably do. The Dames hold everything together well in shape too, and it doesn't press down too much on top of your feet. Yeah, Adidas is typically pretty generous when it comes to the width. There is an even wider option from the brand. I can think of the Adi Zero Select 2.0, but impact protection sucks. Traction is not nearly as good. The Dame 9 has the best traction from the Dame line. So there's my Adidas pick as of now. Okay, next, maybe a surprise pick. The Sabrina 2 got much wider than before. Not as wide as the previous ones that we just talked about, but maybe you can tell from like a top-down view that Nike at least made some efforts in increasing the width. I have a pair that I bought in China and a retail release from here in North America. Same thing really. Both are rifle friendly. With the Sabrinas, it's just a standard mesh upper. So flexibility and breathability are ensured, but containment and support might not be elite. The Sabrinas are just very easy to use, fun to play in, so I need to mention it. While we're at Nike, their KD17 is also shockingly okay for wide feet, because KDs have usually run very narrow. 17, I've had guys that went on the outlet trip with me. Out of the ones they tried in store, 17 was indeed working more nicely than others. I scooped up this navy team band colorway for only $50 after tax. I always see y'all buying shoes that I got at full retail for dirt cheap. My chance to flex a little bit today. Right? Aside from these ones we just talked about, you can always rely on two brands that make extra wide versions of their basketball shoes: New Balance and Asics. Availability will depend on your location, but I know they have 2E and 4E options. That becomes very important for players who simply can't fit in the standard width versions. New Balance and Asics still don't show up a lot on the courts around me. Asics, I get it, they're hard to find here, but New Balance makes top-notch performance. I don't get it. Maybe y'all think they're ugly. That's the only legitimate reason to me. Anyways, shoes that you should perhaps avoid as a wide footer, I can think of the Zayang's Jazz, Zayang 3 and Jazz 1 to be exact. Even if you see them at the clearance store, give them a try on feet first to see if you feel how tight they are. Down issue 6, sizing on those is quite different from other Adidas hoop shoes, narrower than most of their other products, but it is a good performer with excellent traction and a nice low bounce. I would also avoid the main Currys, like the Curry 12, just to be safe. A lot of Chinese brand hoop shoes run narrow these days. Owl City 12, the regular version, Gammas. So Fission 9, JB3, also the Ultralight 2025, believe it or not, these are quite spacious inside. For example, I'd much rather go for the Ultralight 2025 versus the Gamma, from the perspective of someone who desperately needs a spacious fit that's guaranteed to work. This is also one that completely shattered my understanding of basketball shoes. So good. And that about concludes it for my list for wide footers as of now. If I have to pick out only one recommendation for you, Luka 3. Why not? Easy to find, lots of colorways, plenty of discounts to come. The way it contains your feet is very different from most other shoes on the market today, but safe to say it's spacious enough and shouldn't cause any pinching problems. The other ones are pretty good too. If you have one that worked really well for you, please share with us in the comments. Add to the list as you wish. Help a brother out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next one.